Hi there, my name's Mark and I'm the Torbay Lure Angler. A bit too cold to go fishing at the moment, so I thought I'd tell you about the reel that I use for my BFS setup. So this is a Tsurinoya Spirit Fox SFA 50L. These are quite tricky to get hold of now. I think they're very, very popular, probably due to the price point, which is around about £50–60. It's 165 grams in weight, 8+1 ball bearings, so we'll call that 9 then, shall we, and a 6.61 retrieve. So if you've not used a bait caster before, what I'll do is I'll tell you how to actually use one, and I'll tell you how to oil it as well and take the side panel off, because I found that a bit tricky. So I thought I could help you guys out by showing you that. So obviously the way you use it is you put it onto your rod, front end facing out, and then to cast it, you've got a little button here. If you push that button there, it puts it into free spool. Okay, and then when you wind, it engages and winds in. The reason it's not winding at the moment, you've got your drag here. And I'll set that to the minimum so it will slip obviously, and you can see it spinning around now. Okay, so when you set these reels up, if I put them down for you to see, you can see that side play on there. There's a spool tensioner button here. So what you want to do is you want to get that spool tension so it's just moving a little bit to the left and the right. And then when you unclick him and spin him, he spins nice and freely. If I tighten this up now and spin him, you'll see he doesn't move quite so much. That's because it's too tight. So take him right down here by using this button here, move it side to side. You can probably hear that, that's still rattling, so a little bit tighter and it should spin lovely now. Okay, also just engage that. On the side here you've got your braking system. Okay, so these are magnetic brakes and then your minimum and maximum, and it just turns around the inside. So the first thing to do is to set it up by using your spool tensioner, and then as you cast, if you're getting too many birdies or too many little flare-ups there, you can basically increase the distance, if you increase the tension. If you're not going far enough and feel the reel dragging, you can reduce the braking power on there and then cast further. Okay, so that's basically how you use a reel. What I'll do now is I'll tell you how to actually oil it and take off the side panel. So to remove the outer casing to access the spool, you've got a little button here that says push and turn. So you push this button up and you turn it about 5 centimeters or about an inch, and then this whole front panel slips off. This is where your magnetic braking system is. As you can see, your spool sat in there, and that's how you remove your spools. If I had a really bad frap up on that one, for example, what I'll basically do, take that one out, get the new one, stick it in, a bit tricky to do looking down the camera, like so, and then replace, by reversing the process, the side cover back on, and there you go, I'm back fishing again. Okay, so that is very, very simply how you take the side plate off and change your spools. What I'll show you to do now is where the oiling point's on here. So I've removed the spool, as you can see, and this is the magnetic braking system on the side we've taken off. So the oiling point is just there on the bearings. Now this is the oil I use. There's lots of other different ones out there, but this is the one I prefer. It's called Super Lube, and I believe you can get it off Amazon for not a lot of money. I've been using this stuff for years and I find it really good. So I put a little tiny bit of oil just in the middle there, and I also put one little drop of oil just on the outside, just to lubricate those bearings. And the oiling point on the inside is that big bearing down the bottom. Hopefully you can see that in the light, but just down the bottom there. And I just put one dot in there, one dot on the outside, and I reassemble the reel just by putting it into a little hole down there. A bit tricky to do on camera. And then equally as tricky to do on camera is line that hole up with that hole up there, and then twist him, unlock him closed, and now your reel's ready to be used again, especially if I put it in my right hand like that. One top tip as well, because this has happened to me, it took me ages to find out. If you get a little bit of line or braid stuck in between the outside of the spool, so on my spare spool, on the outside of the spool, inside there or inside there, your cast, you'll have frap ups, you'll have snap offs, and you may not work out right. So make sure that all of your line is on the outside, ready to pass through that little hole there when you set him up, and that will sort your line laying out like so. So that's my super duper quick review of the Spirit Fox by Tsurinoya SFA 50L. Great little reel. Get yourself one as a spare, or at best, or at worst even, get yourself a spare spool. This is fluorocarbon, this is braid. My other one has braid on as well, so I can swap the reel over nice and quick, as I've mentioned, and then I've got a backup spool as well. The problem with fluorocarbon I find when you're using a bait caster is if you do get a flare up or a wind knot or a snag or something like that, the fluorocarbon tends to puff up all over the damn place. Whereas with the braid, you might get a little bit of a knot. So it can sometimes be quicker to unpick that than to unreel that. But get yourself one of these. Great budget entry built, not as good as a Shimano Aldebaran or a top range BFS one, but for a little import from China, not a bad little reel. Enjoy your fishing, catch lots of fish, follow my channel, like, sub, share. Take care now, goodbye.